1.21.5 brought us only 7 new plants, but with them, you can enhance your tree building. And I have 12 variants today, all but one of them are inspired by real-world trees that I wish would be added to the game, but until then, we're just gonna have to build them ourselves. And this is not a building tutorial, because they're trees, they're organic, and following step-by-step block placing instructions kind of misses the point. So this is just an overview of the block palette I used and what makes these different tree types distinct, and I will go through each one and how I designed them and how you can do it too. So behind me is a banyan tree, what I'm calling a medium-sized banyan tree, and the thing about these is that they're all made up of these different sprouts that just kind of go from the floor to the canopy, and they can go on and on and on. You can copy paste, copy paste, copy paste, and kind of tile them if you really wanted to. And in the middle, usually for smaller ones, there's the central tree, and then all of these that are kind of growing into one big mass. And I like these because you get to incorporate the mangrove roots, because we don't have very many semi-transparent blocks. But you can incorporate them into a banyan if you use the darker wood type. These trees typically are like a grayish, palish color, but I liked being able to use the spruce fences, dark oak buttons, and the jungle wood here. And I use mangrove leaves up top, and banyans are generally, the leaf structure is more flat and wide as opposed to tall like a pine tree. And I also incorporated the dead leaves, or the leaf litter, the dry bushes, and of course the particle effect that you get from the new update. So this is a large, or a medium, I should say, a medium banyan tree, and again, you can tile it if you want to, or add more of these and interconnected. That's if you want a big one. If you'd like a small one, these are the exact same tree, just recolored. This would be a small banyan tree, and it still has the shoots coming down from up top and the roots coming up from the bottom. And I do have, it's a little bit cleaner, so it's less to get lost in and stuck in, because in that one you can get easily caught up on the fences and stuck in holes, which is kind of the point. So here we have the same block palette, just a little bit neater. And then this is the exact same tree, just instead of jungle wood, we're using stripped birch logs, birch planks, and sandstone. And I also used some of the pale garden moss to have the, just for texture. And again, we're using the leaves, and I don't have any bushes oh I do, I have one bush this round. And of course, it's a tree, there are no rules other than a general shape, wider at the bottom, narrow in the middle, and wider again at the top. So these are the 3 banyans, so that's type 1, and this is type 2. And tree number 3 is a swamp cypress tree. And these need to be built, or at least these need to grow, in or on water. And I built this one out of the acacia wood and the pale oak wood. And cypress trees have cypress knees, and we don't have a gray fence variant, so I use the deep slate fences, or deep slate walls, but you can also use tuff that I have here. And some buttons for like just the baby sproutlings, and I also use the new firefly bush, because I really like the ambience that you get when you have the firefly bush in this tree specifically. And I have one hidden up here in the branches, and these are also mangrove leaves. This is sitting on a moss block, hidden in the branches, so you can have it up here because you can't plant it on anything else. And it's just, I love the look of this tree. This might be my second or third favorite on the list. So yeah, with this, you have like leaves and little clumps, and then it kind of gets a little bit bushy on top. Up next, we have a palmetto, a palm tree, a coconut palm. I called it a palmetto, but it can be pretty much anything. And here, what I like to stress about palm trees is that you don't want to build them straight up. They can, of course, grow straight up in the real world, but they look really stiff in Minecraft when they do that. And a lot of palmettos that I see around where I live are always kind of curved like this from the wind or from like bending around other trees. And if you build it out of jungle wood, and I did entirely jungle, you can add cocoa beans to kind of look like coconuts if you're building a coconut palm. Again, with the mangrove leaves, I just like how they look. And I like the way this looks. Like, you don't need a lot of resources to do it, and you can do a lot with a little. There's only like 3 different block types. There's the cocoa beans, the leaves, and this is all jungle wood. So very basic tree. Number 5, I believe it's a New Caledonia pine. I'm not actually sure. We have them around here, and I cannot figure out what they're called, and I can't find a picture. But this is a pine tree we have around here, and it's always curved. Always. I've never seen this thing going straight up. It's always kind of this banana shape. And I made this out of, what is this? Dark oak wood, stripped dark oak wood, some of the dark oak fences, and the spruce leaves. And you have the extra branches in here made out of fence posts. And with all pine trees, having that extra bit of dead space in here so it's not one giant mass of leaves really helps make it look more organic. And if you can't tell, podzol is one of my favorite earth blocks to build with. You've got the dead leaves here. And I wish we had a proper pine needles block, but sadly we don't, so we're gonna have to ignore the dead oak leaves underneath a pine tree. And when you're doing any of these, again, the base should always be pretty big because it has to be stable to hold the tree up. As for how it stays standing when it's curved, it's just nature. Nature does it. Number 6 is probably the most unique tree on here, and this is my take on a Joshua tree. If you don't know, a Joshua tree grows in the deserts of southeast California, Arizona, Nevada, that area. Actually, it might only be California. And it's a very, very old species of tree. And it's kind of like a tree-cactus hybrid. So what I did was I have these dead fan corals in the new bush, and I planted them on some coarse dirt to kind of have the spiky leaves that the Joshua tree has, and the kind of extra underneath, because you can't put a bush on the side, you can only do it with fan corals. And it's a very, like, there's not a lot of blocks here, as you can see. But there are, I think this is oak. Yeah, oak and stripped spruce. And then whenever I'm building trees like this, I want it to be integrated into the ground. So whether I'm planting it on dirt and gravel, podzol, or anything, instead of just putting it on the grass, I want it to look like it came out of the environment. So having that extra bit of landscaping around it really helps. But yeah, this is a Joshua tree. And it might be... It's definitely distinct. Like if you're living in a desert and you don't have a lot of green around you, you can consider putting one of these in because they're built for that kind of environment. Up next is a baobab tree, or at least my attempt on a baobab tree. And these things are the big trees that you'd see in Madagascar with the huge bulbous trunks and the tiny bit of leaves on top. And that's because there's water inside. And I have a little bit of in there. It's not 100% accurate, but it's what we're gonna get with Minecraft physics. And I have some buttons for texture, and I have jungle wood and acacia wood and some mud down here. And baobabs are kind of like the banyan. They're very wide and short as far as the leaves go, and I used jungle fence and acacia fence up here. Up next is everyone has built a redwood. This is my take on it. And I included this little bit on the inside so you can see the different textures. Again, jungle, acacia, and this is mangrove on the inside for the redwood's namesake. And this is what I meant by building your trees straight up. I think this looks a little bit stiff. And it looks a bit too, like you can see my different leaf layers are kind of wider randomly and thinner randomly. But this is the general vibe I was going for, and also if you use darker leaves, like these are the mangrove and these are azalea, you can kind of have that shaded leaf effect where these are darker and they're underneath other branches, and these are the lighter ones on the outside, just to have that bit of variance and extra texture added. And inside I use the jungle fence, acacia fence, and mangrove fence all the way up to the top. If you don't want to collect any leaves, you can do a giant tree stump. And the idea is, because I did a ton of landscaping here, is that it's been here for a while, it's slowly decaying, and a lot of stuff has built up around it. So I included the big fern, the baby fern, the bushes, the new leaves, all of the different texturing that I could come up with down here, the moss blocks, the moss growing on the side here, firefly bush. So this is kind of what it looks like as soon as the particles start. Got a few, we've got a couple down in the front, and then a couple here in the back. And then up here, we have dark oak wood, spruce wood, and then we have the mangrove wood up here. And again, more of the jungle, acacia, and mangrove wood in here. And I wanted to have that, like the darkest, richest redwood in the center, because it'd be newest and youngest, so it would have the most color. I don't know if that's true, but it feels like it'll work. And of course, the different coordinated fence posts and some ferns and moss and such growing within the dead tree trunk. I really like this because you don't have to have a ton of height for it to figure out what it is. And you can add some variety to your map with some tree stumps, because I don't really see tree stumps. I usually see giant trees. And this is a redwood. You can build this out of anything, and I went big on purpose, as if this had been a giant tree that reached, I don't know, 100 blocks into the air. This next tree is completely mine. I was running out of ideas for distinct real-world trees with the limited block palette Minecraft has, so I went wild with the copper block. And I did this because Minecraft doesn't have leaves that change colors with the season. Like, we don't have yellow leaves, we don't have red leaves, but we do have this nice gradient that you get with the copper blocks. So I built this out of the pale oak and the acacia, and I used some more dead corals. And I kind of wanted to have like the green is underneath, and then as you get higher you get this red kind of gradient. And I don't know what it is. I just completely freehanded this. I mean, I freehanded all of them, but I definitely freehanded this one. And I really like it. This is my favorite one on the block, or on the lineup, because it's so distinct and I haven't seen it before. And you, like I said, we don't have red leaves in the game, and this is the closest I think I could get with the semi-transparent blocks. And I really like it. Number 9 is my take on a eucalyptus tree. I'm using more of the copper blocks, and a eucalyptus has that kind of peeling bark effect with the strips of like pink and green in the middle, and this is the best I could get with the blocks that we have. So I used stripped jungle wood and then the different waxed copper bits, and I used cherry fence and a birch fence and azalea leaves, and I just put them at like different little bushes at different heights, going all the way up to the top. And I built it flat up top. I couldn't tell, like, there was a variety of, when I was looking up example images, whether it's short like this or like kind of Christmas tree shaped. But I like the pinkish block tone that we get here. And I don't know, it's just a unique tree that we don't really see in the game very much. We always have like the darker wood types. And speaking of dark wood types, for number 10, you have your classic live oak tree. Now, in the real world, these things are really like dome-shaped. The canopy is almost a full semicircle all the way around. And I couldn't quite get the shape right. Like, it looked strange when I tried to build it. So I went with your classic enhanced oak tree with the different wood textures. I have jungle and I have oak wood in here. And I have oak leaves on top with the spruce fences. And when you're doing an oak tree, I kind of built the base in like a diamond shape. So I built it out here, 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 and here. And then I slowly brought it inwards and then split it up top. So you have that kind of curving effect you get where it's big at the bottom, skinny in the middle, and then big again up top. But usual, like really old live oak trees are definitely more semicircle shaped. So that was 12 tree variants, or technically 13 tree variants, but 2 of them were basically just retextured. And if you would like a build tutorial for any one of these, I can put that together. Just leave a note in the comments. And yeah, hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the next episode.